Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Our employer wants us to destroy a number of communication towers located at the marked objectives. I'm reading a heavy amount of hostile chatter in the area, so let's get this job done and get the hell out of here.
All right, hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Mechcommander Mercenaries. You just heard me right. The next iteration of Mechcommander, a mod for Mech 5, coming to you August 1st. This is a conversion mod of Mechwarrior 5. As you can see, we've got it at least almost fully operational. There's a few things that we still have to figure out, and we're going to be talking about this in a podcast. But before we get into the podcast, I wanted to introduce you guys to the mod and the project and the game coming your way. What is this? It takes Mechwarrior 5 and it creates an RTS out of it. And that RTS is Mechcommander. And of course, you can sort of see them already interacting. We're going to go over here. We've got a simple raid. We're going to go ahead and check out this as well. You can follow here. We've got a lot of commands. You can even guard as well. You can tell your pilots to eject if you want, and we'll demonstrate that a little bit later. But anyways, just want to sort of give you guys a heads up. We will be doing a live stream of Mechcommander Mercenaries all week, and that is July 27th through the 31st. And then we will be releasing this game, this client on Nexus, on the August 1st. We'll have all the information for you guys. We also have a Reddit. We've got a lot of things going on. And let me go ahead and get Mason here. We got a little bit of work to do to Mason, but I'm gonna go ahead and bring him into the fight here. It does look like Mason doesn't engage when he doesn't have LRMs. I think LRMs are the problem for Mason. Let's go and tell Mason really quickly. Slo-Mo here. Oh yeah, look at that. We're gonna go do that again really quick. We're gonna go ahead and switch targets here. Tell him to engage the bigger target. Let's see how much damage does Jenner have? All right, Jenner definitely has a little bit of damage. We're gonna slow this down. There's the VTOL flying. We've got a cool little ability for Slo-Mo here. This allows you to be able to engage targets and have multiple targets on the scene, and you, the player, the Mechcommander, being able to easily issue commands, and then your Mechwarrior is following through with those. There we go. We're going to go ahead and maneuver here away from this. I'm going to go ahead and head up here. Centurion is not doing that well. Mason's not doing that well. Go maneuver here. We got our other. Let's go ahead and let's just take this thing out. How about that? Yeah, he's gonna go ahead and engage. Come on, Centurion, get up here. Maybe jump.
On location, Commander. Enemy destroyed.
Still a lot of work to be done with this mod, but as you can see, already being played in RTS mode. And you've got camera angles. You can double click on a mech to follow that mech.
Good work.
Middle mouse wheel.
That's one less target.
Okay, it looks like we've got to take out another target down here. How are we gonna get that way? Let's go this route. Let's get Mason up here as well. I am utilizing the reloaded mod, and weather effects will also work. You can also check out a bunch of them. They're all compatible. Should not have any issues whatsoever. And we can see the health here. All we gotta do is mouse over our target. And we're gonna go ahead and engage this target as well. Drag and click and drag. Easy peasy. Got another VTOL here again. They're going to engage as they come upon targets, so sometimes you don't need them. You don't have to worry about them engaging, But what you do need to do is sometimes tell them like, hey, engage this instead of. So here we go. We got another set of vehicles coming this way. We're just going to go ahead and get the Javelin in here. He's going to wreck the Scorpion.
Tango down.
Of course, this is a Phase 1 release of Mechcommander Mercenaries coming to you August 1st.
Target down.
More information will be released as we go along, and a podcast coming out very, very soon. Let's go ahead and get to evac here.
As quickly as you can, Commander.
There are some bugs out there, and there's some known issues, so of course, when you guys run into them, make sure to report anything over on our Reddit and or Discord. We're utilizing the No Guts No Galaxy Discord. Makes it super easy, super simple.
I got it.
But guys, this is your first preview of Mechcommander Mercenaries,
Welcome
the
back,
latest
Commander.
iteration.
Stand by.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Phil here with podcast number 200. The big 200 is finally here. And of course, we have an amazing topic to talk about, just like that intro video just said, Mechcommander. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. My guest here is Tori. Tori is our lead engineer. Is that a cool, like, what did you type?
Sure, that's what we've been going with.
Engineer? Okay, we'll go with lead engineer.
Programmer.
Yeah, sure. Oh, honey, you can't say that. That's like, isn't that like shunned upon? I don't know. Anyways, he has been the guy behind the scenes as far as our project goes, and this is actually really exciting. I don't know how for you, but like for me, this is something that I've wanted obviously for years, and we're gonna dive into that. But yeah, man, we can finally talk about it like openly. Like you're not like
We've been so secretive on the
right.
the web.
I know.
Yeah.
You know.
But
Well, I mean,
it's really exciting though. Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of people actually don't know about it. So I guess that's to everyone out there, if you're listening or watching, we got a lot of stuff to cover, and of course some information, release date of this, so you guys know where you can download it, and then what our plans are. What about development, further development, and so forth. And so we're gonna go ahead and just sort of dive in there. And first things first, let's talk about the name, man. Because we went through a few iterations, and luckily I reached out to Russ, and I asked, so previously to Mechcommander Mercenaries, we were going to go with Mechwarrior 5 Commander. I think that's,
Right.
yeah, right.
We
Yeah.
kind of bounced around.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, we were thinking, oh, we'll just tie it in. We don't want to really push on anyone's toes. And then, like, well, let's just see if it's okay if we call it Mechcommander.
Yeah. Because,
Okay. Yeah.
because I didn't want us to like put the logo, like do that. And then I don't know, the powers that be is like, no, that's not.
Someone's like, hey, now.
Yeah, yeah. So I reached out to Russ, and Russ was actually really cool about it. He was like, hey, let me just verify the powers that be, I guess, Microsoft, whoever. And within a week, he basically got back to us. And the reason I felt this was really important, at least and is just really just the name itself. And we can actually call it Mechcommander Mercenaries instead of Mechwarrior 5 Commander. And I just feel like Mechcommander, because that's what this game is, has a stronger, I don't know if it's marketing or like PR wise. I mean, but
it does sound better. Trying to explain it as, oh, well, it's a mod for Mechwarrior 5 and it's called Commander, but it's actually Mechcommander.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Just to call it what it is, I guess. So that was actually really cool. So thank you, Russ, for asking, and of course giving him the ominous dominus and all that. So he actually hasn't played it, so you guys are going to be able to play it when he gets to play it. And I've actually been told by a few devs, not going to name any names, who's shown up in Twitch chat when we talk about it on stream, and they're pretty excited for our project, and it's been a long time coming. So let's go down memory lane here, Tori. And by the way, I call him Y-Rot all the time, and that's what you're going to see if you notice Tori, and if you spell it backwards.
You just flip it. Yeah,
that was...
It confuses the hell out of people.
I would say that's genius, but then lazy. I don't know.
Like, it's because my name
Genius?
was taken on some account way back
Yeah,
when.
okay.
I'm like,
That's
all
fair.
right,
That's
screw it,
fair.
flip
I
it.
mean, yeah, and it works.
And
I mean,
then
why
enough
not?
people knew me as that from
Yeah.
whatever game
I
it
don't
was
know.
back then. Yeah.
But so anyways, if you're in Twitch chat all the time or on our Discord, this is Wyrot. That's who that is. Hello. Nice t-shirt.
Yeah, no, I got that from
some
this
guy.
one streamer's
Yeah,
merch page.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. But yeah, so let's talk about how this all gets started. I can't stress how much I've wanted this project to happen way before I even knew you. Like I tried getting this going off the ground like years ago. Like if I could have ever got the Mechcommander 2 source code to like be worth anything, that would have been a thing.
Oh no, you tried that with me, Phil. No.
Yeah, no.
Just no.
No, but even before, I reached, I remember, for those that don't, like, I reached out to, his name was Frank, I don't remember, I want to say Savage, I think that was his last name, and at the time, he was on LinkedIn, and he worked for Microsoft. I remember I reached out to him, and I'm talking, this is like years ago, like probably 10 years ago, and maybe like 8, but I was like, hey man, I love Mechcommander, there's such a, like, we just want the source code. And I remember he replied to me and he was like, dude, I can't believe any of you guys even play that game anymore. And I was like, trust me, I was like, there's so many people. And he was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we can do that. So a few days goes by, no word, sent him a message, no response. And then about a week later, I noticed he had been promoted to like another department. And then it just went like blank, like, no, like I got ghosted. And I was like, all right, well, so if you're listening to this, I tried reaching out to you, Frank, but anyways, and maybe, maybe it led to ultimately this. So it's fast forward. I think, did I meet you was it stream? Did I?
Yeah. I started watching No Ghost No Galaxy on Twitch.
Yeah.
Because I was playing a lot of MWO at the time, and we got to talking about something somehow. I don't remember how that even came about. I think it was on one of the Discord channels.
Yeah, because I think I was looking for someone with C# knowledge, right? Because
you guys were looking at Unity.
Yes,
Unity. Is all
Unity.
built on C#, and
yeah,
my day job as a programmer, I use C# like half the time.
yeah.
So,
and we did dive into Unity, and we actually did make progress. But one thing we quickly realized was, I think the speed at which the progress would happen, and we were also fiddling with possibly using 2D sprites, and even back in the day when me and Rudy did this, and we had an actual sort of playable like looking thing, but me and you had a serious conversation, and you were like, how about we just wait? How about we just wait till the Mechwarrior 5 comes out? We'll have all of that. I mean, and that's what, 95% of the work. I mean, like, already done for you.
I wouldn't say 95%.
Okay.
But it's a significant portion.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you're not having to,
maybe 80, who knows?
yeah, you're not having to do everything in like C++ and from zero lines of code, and and so we took a break, and what we did is we said, hey, go ahead, dive into Unreal, and I know there's a few people did it at the time. Naveed, he had a few videos of him running around in a mech he set up, and he started diving in, and so there was a few people. I think there's another project out there, something like, is it Winter War or something?
No, Project Winter War, I think, is someone's doing a mod for Mech 5.
Yeah.
There's a Wolves, like the...
Yeah. I'm just saying there's a few like serious groups that dove in. Yeah. So you got the Wolf. Yeah, that's I think he's doing Unity on that one too. The Wolves.
Oh, is it? I thought it was Unreal.
Mech Assault? Yeah, I don't know. All right, so I'd been wanting to do this forever, and it just sort of the right people, the right time, and a natural flavors in Discord and Twitch chat. He joined, he was part of the team. He's been a little bit overloaded with real life, like a lot of people, so he's had to take a step back. And you two are working on stuff together, and then we also have another animator, 3D modeler as well, Drop, and he's actually working on something right now that I think we might be able to have done for the release. Maybe we'll see. Maybe. If not, it's not the end of the world. But he is working hard. Again, we'll get into all those individual things. But so Mech Commander, man, like I'm super excited. I've been excited, and it's been one of those things where I haven't really talked too much. I've shown a few videos that you've done, you know, for the stream, and again, like that, every once in a while, little
tease.
teases. And to be fair, those were usually generally already shared with the public, but on the official Discord and the modding section. So if you weren't paying attention,
I've been dropping just a few little tidbits here.
Yeah,
In the modding chat, and the other modders and I kind of just share different stuff that we figure out as we go. So it's nice to post a little something here and there.
So I guess
figure this out.
So I guess if let's just sort of set the bar. We are creating Mechcommander Mercenaries, which is a sort of a conversion mod of Mechwarrior 5. And Mechwarrior 5 Mechcommander Mercenaries in this context is a real-time strategy mod for Mech 5. And that's something we're going to talk about as far as the developmental phases. We're releasing on August 1st, by the way, and so you guys are going to be able to download this. What should people expect when this comes out? Because I feel like that's really important, right? I mean,
sure, set the expectations.
Expectations. Like, what does this mean?
So, this first release is our first kind of phase of development. It's all about trying to just get basic real-time strategy gameplay into Mech 5. It's not really a full Mech Commander game yet. Obviously, there's stuff that I haven't implemented yet. There's a lot of extra things in like the meta game and how you manage your merc company and things that just are going to happen later. But we've got to a point now where you can play most of the campaign and all the procedural missions as a real-time strategy game.
Okay.
So at least we've got that kind of groundwork laid down that people can play it and enjoy it as an RTS. It's still Mechwarrior 5's gameplay experience for the most part, but at least it's an RTS game.
Gotcha. So, and of course, what he's talking about, all the meta systems like Mech Lab, the mission selection, the mission types, what's going on there, the pilot system, all that is still fundamentally Mech 5. Albeit, one of the cool things is our mod's compatible with a lot of shit out there.
I've tried it with a lot of different mods, and all the big ones that people really seem to be using, like Reloaded and Merctech, it works pretty well with. There's a few little hiccups with UI and a couple other things, but for the most part, it works.
Yeah.
So I played quite a few missions in a row in Reloaded and Merctech just to make sure.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of cosmetic mods that work with most of those too. So
yeah. So right off the bat, you're going to be able to use Reloaded, and I know you've used some of the other ones as well. That'll being said, like it's so weird. The first time I played our mod and you could do a mission from start to finish, it was so weird. I mean, it was weird in a good way, but it was weird because I was like, it almost feels like not how the game was meant to be played or anything like that. It was just, it's one of those where it was like, wow, that was seamless. Anyways, it was just really cool. I was definitely blown away. Like, it was just one of those, and we've had hiccups, obviously, and there's still bugs out there, of course, and they're still here and there, and we'll get into where if you run into any of those, where you report those. But I remember the first time, like, you had the clicking and moving going around you had a demo before the game even came out.
I had it going well. So
you had an idea of how it was going to work.
I had a little bit different versions in Unreal where we had tried a couple different versions ahead of time. But as soon as we got the editor, it didn't take that long to get a test level with, here's 3 mechs, and I can tell them to move places.
Yeah.
But getting everything tied into the game took quite a bit of effort to figure out.
Yeah.
How do you go from this first person spawn and all of a sudden you're in a camera in the sky?
Yeah. Because like right now, how our system works, right, is we're not basically using their camera and or their player controller. We've injected our own, which replaces theirs. Is that correct?
Right. So ours actually inherits from theirs. So it has a lot of the same features that theirs does, but we add all of the RTS elements on top. So as soon as the mission starts and it goes, hey, you're in a mech now, I go, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go play RTS mode. But we can still, interact with a lot of the same stuff they do. It's just that RTS layer exists built up on top of it.
And they don't see that because that's going on in the loading screen, correct? When you're loading that mission?
Yes.
That's when
Because
it's...
that loading screen is hiding a lot of very ugly things popping into existence, including your mech and our controller.
All right, okay. So let's talk about, we've got a lot of stuff that you've worked on as far as if it's going to be Mechcommander. There was a few things like camera itself. You've got
Right.
UI elements. You've got the function of being able to, now you've got a mouse instead of a crosshair, right? Like you've got like, can you sort of walk through maybe some challenges that you ran into that obviously you were able to overcome, but like, is there anything that pops out?
The big thing I think was just trying to figure out where I could link everything in. UI is actually really easy in Unreal once you get a rough idea of how the pieces go together. But how do I take this RTS camera and get it to actually spawn when the game is doing the thing I want?
Yeah.
Because PGI didn't intend for you to be outside of a mech or not inside of a gameplay unit that they have. So you've got to try to figure out, okay, I spawn into a mech, what gets triggered? When can I pull in that to trigger this function?
Yeah.
And then what happens when the mission ends? Well, I need to be in the human over there, not, I need to be in the dropship. So there's a bunch of stuff like that where it's just trying to find out what PGI did in Unreal so I can bind something to it.
Gotcha.
Is probably the biggest thing with modding a game like this.
Yeah. And as of right this second, like when you're talking about objectives, like guard the base, if you sent Mason to do it, Mason, I don't know if he actually triggers it right now, does he? We don't. Yeah, so he doesn't.
There is one of those little pitfalls of trying to
Right.
link into PGI's code is
Yeah.
they have something running that I can't see because it's all in source code. Where whenever I move that little camera up here, Mason's mech's no longer in the squad.
Yeah.
So whenever you send him off to do something, it doesn't count, basically.
So there
it's
are
just those goofy things we're working on trying to figure out.
So then that's what we're talking about, like bugs or whatever. It's like, so you'll have to send someone else to the defense location to either activate it and or, if you're getting on a dropship or trying to leave or whatever, activating those things. We've noticed, obviously. And then Mason's also had some other stuff. And I feel like the cool thing is with this, though, is like, this is par for the course, right? I mean, you're diving in, we're learning how things work, the layers of the cake per se, and what ties into what. And, the cool thing has been watching access to the devs on their Discord and them interacting with the community. Because and that's sort of what Alex Garden is doing, which is he's basically there to make sure that we have enough going. And when I say we, the mod community, if something comes up that they're going to get it fixed or give access to within, I guess, their scope and reason. And then, on top of that, I'm sure he's already working on the mod system for Epic, right? Which they're the first game that's going to be doing that. And then
we haven't heard much about what they've actually got going on besides, the work on the DLC, but that's definitely on, if you look at Epic Games roadmap, we're working with one developer, like one of our partners. Yeah. And we know PGI is the first one, so it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that. But we've had pretty good, relationship with the PGI crew. The modders have found bugs that would have been hard for a dev to track down. Yeah, because we're really out in the weeds and trying to do stuff the game wasn't meant to do. Yeah, and occasionally you find something like, I know one of the guys found, a sound bug. It's like, well, how would a tester have known to look at every single sound in the game, because that's what the modder happened to be doing at the time. Yeah. So, we've been, feeding them some stuff that we found, and they've been trying to open stuff up for us if they can.
Yeah. So
it's been good.
I guess if anybody's listening, we need more access to Mason. Is that basically what we need?
Oh, I'm not sure. Mason can be derpy.
At least
I don't know how to describe that bug yet.
At least he's doing damage for you.
What it is, I will tell. Yeah. PGI, but.
I mean, ultimately,
different things it could be.
Yeah, ultimately, what we're trying to do for Mason is like right now, if you play Mech 5, you're Mason, so you're on, every single drop. You have to be right, and so he's not your traditional AI lance mate. So as far as how they built that in, because he's the player controller, not a AI,
Right. He's
controlled
not he's not AI
entity.
to begin
Yeah,
with.
yeah. So
So
yeah,
yeah, I don't know how PGI exactly spawns him in, but he doesn't act like all the other AI. So I
yeah,
have them all running the same logic, and sometimes Commander Mason's just a derp.
yeah.
And
And
he'll look at a target and go, "I'm not going to shoot you, dude."
shoot, yeah, he always does that with me. So we've ran into that, and that's probably the biggest one as far as I've ran into. And that all being said, though, I think it's important to sort of look at that's sort of what we're talking about as far as developmental phases, right? Like there's going to be small stuff that we clean up as we go along, but the development of like, hey, now you've got new UI elements, right? You can see enemies when you click them. We've got their information. You can click on friendlies. You can see their paper dolls, how much damage they've got, their overall health bar. You can see the pilot, avatar icon. But we have a few other functionality pieces that won't sort of click in. And even when it comes to other like developmental phases too, is like obviously we're probably going to eventually do a UI revamp that looks all nice and pretty and this and that. But right now, which to be fair, I think you've done a really good job with the icons.
What? You
Like,
don't like my programmer art, Phil?
like
Come on.
on, like the ones on the maps, like you click. I've been really impressed. They look nice. They look good. But that's been fun for me because on the outside you'll be like, hey, here's a build, and as soon as I start playing it, I'm like, hey, that looks cool, or hey, I've noticed I can't see where the heck my units are, and you're like, okay, well, don't worry, if you, blah blah blah, and then it was like, then you got paper. It's been cool seeing the development along the path as the project.
Yeah, it's also really weird. I went to go look for some videos to put up on the Nexus page, and some of them are from like the first little bits where I was getting some of that implement. It's like, oh, this is ugly. When did the UI look this bad?
Yeah. The game looks really good though, like as far as in that perspective. And what we've done too, by the way, is we've sort of taken a route of Mechcommander 2, whereas Mechcommander 2 had a pitch and, as far as height and elevation angle restriction. So you can't go like flat against the map and see across. We really want the aspect to be from that RTS. Also, just from a gameplay perspective, maybe in the future and stuff, we'll mesh around with that. There are some things that you're gonna notice, like you might be able to, go through the ground in some aspects or this or that, but that's par for the course.
There's a few weird spots where
yeah.
I've ended up underneath the ground. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not fixing that today.
But we have cool stuff like you can guard a unit, you can attack. Right now we've got the ranges, but we're gonna adjust those. You can set predetermined ranges, and of course that'll be refined as we go along.
Yeah, I had it working pretty well, except whenever they were too close, they would turn around and run back.
To get
No,
yeah.
don't turn your back to the
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. No.
So I turned some PGI logic back on, so they kind of slowly work their way, and it doesn't quite pan out yet.
And we talked a lot about that too, because like I was like, okay, we need a short, medium, and long range, and then because in the previous games you had a lot of micromanagement, and we have a really cool, unique element in the game that none of the games have had, and that's should we tell them? Should we? I guess we can tell them. I guess we have Slo-Mo, and
it's wondering which feature you were talking about.
It's exactly what you think it is. Like, think of Judge Dredd Slo-Mo it's that, and it looks fantastic. But the reason why I actually think this is a really cool feature is not only for like cinematics and stuff like that you can capture, but it allows you the time as commander, especially with like the craziness that sometimes, especially with just you got multiple spawns or something coming in and you just need to hit that space bar and it's like, and now you can select your grasshopper and you can tell him to engage the Igor.
Space bar, now that you say it.
Oh, is it not? Oh, maybe it should be.
No, it's like F7.
It's F7, yeah. Okay, space bar. No, it's live development. But I remember you were like, I was like, is that going to be easy? And just like within a few minutes, you're like, hold on, dude, check this out. And it was like, no way. It was that easy. Yeah.
It's like a single node in Unreal Engine Blueprint. You're just like, time scale 0.2.
and just
Hey.
boom. And it looks great, man. Like, but the cool thing from a gameplay perspective, and I think this is what going back to the ranges of engagement, is that sometimes things happen so quickly and or so dynamically, you need the ability to slow things down and reissue commands, because like how we've done it, instead of you saying grasshopper close in short range against a target, what we've done, we said grasshopper, you're in short range sort of mode, so whatever target you're engaging needs to, you close it medium or whatever, and that allows you a little bit more hands off. And the reason why we were thinking about this was because what happens when you get to a lance, or you have more than 4 units, and that's another thing I guess to sort of talk about, which is for the phase 1 of release, you're only responsible for the 4 mechs that you drop with, but they're in the future, you will have the ability to take control of the AI lance mates that are possibly on the field.
You can also already in phase 1, those ally units that spawn in like Warzone missions. So they're just like, the little base defenders that have like no health, their armor's beat up. You can actually select those and issue them commands. That works right now. But you are stuck with whatever units you start with. Pretty well.
But I wonder if has Naveed messed with that with Reloaded to where you actually get better. I don't know if he's. I don't think. I don't know. With like Warzone and stuff.
Yeah. So
because they have better missile turrets and stuff like that. I don't know.
I think the turrets are better in Reloaded. I'm not sure if the base defenders are. I know someone was looking into that the other day, and I don't know if they already released a mod or if it was in the works. But
so
it's definitely something that you can do.
Yeah.
Because they like just pre-damage all their armor and they have like no structure, but someone's gonna give them a little bit more beef.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, especially as we move forward into the discussion. We have the ability for you to take control of pretty much all of them, and the UI scales appropriately, so you can take control of a tank and or any vehicle. So it could be if you had VTOLs, if you had a repair vehicle, turrets, and it's definitely something that we're going to be looking at designing and messing with. It's just as far as out the gate, that's also too why, because like I think we you want to put the focus on your ability to control what's going on. But if there's so much going on, again, the ability to slow things down, say, hey, you 2 units engage this, you do this, maybe move here and capture that, or all of that, and the ability to do that, and then just set their, I guess it's sort of like a preset attack range or whatever, and so they automatically go to that range preferably, and that's the idea.
They automatically try to choose a preset based on what their loadout is, and then you can kind of override it to be either short, medium, or long, and they'll try to stick to that.
So
work perfect, but it at least tries to.
Yeah, and I guess that goes into one of the things to talk about is AI. Like, we haven't really done anything with AI yet, though, right? I mean,
I have done the minimum amount to make it like a playable RTS.
Yeah. But why haven't we done that?
Too far.
Is that
because I wanted to get the game working first, and then we can figure out what we actually need.
Yep.
Because there's some behaviors that just kind of worked from PGI's code, but when you're playing in first person, you can't issue orders as quickly and easily to tell your lance mate to go over there and shoot the guy.
Yep.
But when you're in RTS mode, their logic works out a little bit better. So I didn't really feel like we needed to rewrite everything until we had played it, and try to get it going.
And we almost almost need I don't know if a dumber AI to some extent. We ran it like, didn't we? We were running to where they were doing too complicated.
Why in the base game when they're following you as a lance, they have a lot of logic to go find their own targets and help fight, but then they end up wandering off a little bit more, and people don't like. They're like, no, just follow me. Well, the AI is actually trying to do more work than it needs to do to help you.
Yeah.
But it gets a little bit weird if you're not expecting it.
Yeah, and especially like in our mod where you'll be looking down and all of a sudden your dudes just start freaking going to town on targets you don't even see because they're firing at like 800 meters, LRMs, large lasers, PP. And again, it's great because they're actually utilizing range and they're engaging targets. But from like right now, it's like, who the hell are you firing at? Oh, like, and then you pan the camera and there's something, or they've already blown up a tank. And that's definitely something that we're going to, in the long run, we don't, the metagame as far as range weapons and weapons in general and all that, that's something that, will be coming down the road. But for right now, just sort of keep that in mind. Like sometimes, especially as you pick up tech and some of that tech is long range, man, they start they're murdering things like at range.
One of my test mechs that I was using is a mauler with just AC2 spam, and I'll just light stuff up all the time. You're like, what are you even? You're like looking around in the camera, like, where is this? Oh, it was a VTOL that's blowing up. Cool.
Yeah. Igor's, man, just kill them with fire. Yeah.
All the time. They're terrifying.
And this guy, he put in these, like, what was it, the UAC 10? Is that what you did with the? Oh my gosh, dude, they were murdering me.
I put a kind of roughed in a thing that we're planning on phase 2, which is calling in a support unit, right? So I was like, well, I'll do like some kind of airstrike or something. Well, I'll just use a VTOL. And I beefed up the dual AC-10s to some kind of DACA AoE nonsense UAC 10.
Yeah. Murder. Like my entire lance, just like,
Oh, you had an Atlas. Whoops.
Yeah. And we've noticed other things like, I think this is more towards if you're playing by yourself and we haven't gotten into the discussion like co-op or anything, but your AL lance mates, like that's something that we're going to talk about as far as their skills and engaging in the progression. And that more goes into the meta of the just the difficulty and how that works, because we've noticed because they don't have, especially in a lot of, you don't have the time you don't have the repair facilities, you can't do any of that. It can be really brutal, but it's something we're aware of course, playing Mech 5 and then with our mod. It is something that we're going to be deep diving in, and a lot of that ties into AI, of course, and a lot of it ties into like the meta of like, and when I say like weapon ranges is because you have a limited, like I don't know on our screen, that's something I actually don't know is like, is it 900 meters is the furthest you can sort of see or whatever. And so then it's like, well, if it's 600 meters, do you want visually, do we want, and gameplay, do we want your AI lance mates or even enemy mechs to be engaging at you? And so those are things that we're going to be diving into and dissecting and playtesting ourselves.
Yeah.
Because
I can definitely tell you that 800 meters is a ridiculously long range when you're looking at an RTS.
Yeah.
But I had that mauler like walking off the edge of the map trying to get outside into it.
Yeah, I was right. Yeah.
Shoot here.
So yeah, man, like the future, the cool thing with this mod is you're going to be able to play and a little bit of a backup here. When you play this mod, we're going to include we're going to recommend the career mode, so you can start after a certain mission.
I'm not sure if it's. I know there's a campaign start mod. Basically, you need a save that's after Act 1 because some of the campaign missions don't let you interact right since you're not in a mech.
Yeah. So like tutorial and stuff at the very beginning. Yeah.
It doesn't let you get in your mech.
So what we might do is we'll include a save file for you guys at the Nexus site. I think we can include that or something along those lines or something to where
or a link. I know there's a mod basically use it first and gives you a save to Act 1. So.
And are we going to go back? Yes, but we have to wait. We have to wait for their DLC because we don't know because they're doing their own career mode. We don't know if that's going to allow you to bypass that initial.
It'd probably be more fun in career mode anyway. Let's face it. So everyone would want to play that anyway. So yeah, I'm not sure, and I just haven't taken the time to go through and. Because most people already have a save past that point, so you could just pick up where you're already playing.
Yeah. But just keep in mind, if you're brand new, maybe you buy Mech 5 just for this mod or whatever, just keep in mind, you're going to have to get past. Basically, it's when you pick up Freeman, I think is... Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically the Act 1 of the game, you are kind of stuck in a certain area, and there's a few more like hand-built missions that have some extra features in them. But Act 2 is when you get opened up to the full star map and you can go around. So that's kind of where you want to be to start with this.
All right. So future, man, let's talk. August 1st is obviously we're going to be going live on Nexus, and that's going to be the primary way to download. I don't think we'll have to really worry, or I don't know if we'll end up doing EGS or even Steam when they go live. I don't know if that'll even pertain to us or anything.
If they do the EGS, the Epic Game Store, like mod marketplace thing that's supposed to be coming, I'm sure we can just dump our mod on it. Not a big deal, but Nexus would definitely be the point for now, and we'll say that way, regardless what they add.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to the most as far as like the maybe as a player, but also just as the lead engineer? Like, what are you wanting to dive into?
So I've been working a lot on UI stuff, and that's not bad. But I kind of want to get back into just some of the gameplay elements that are missing that you would expect in a Mechcommander game. So phase 2 is a lot about adding things like reinforcements and how you can spend some kind of resource to get, airstrikes, artillery, minefields, repair vehicles, that kind of stuff. Those are all things I think there are plenty within our scope. And I'm looking forward to try to implement those, because there's a lot of fun to be had once you can start, calling in your other mechs or things like that.
Yeah.
So I gotta play around with and see what I can get done, but it's definitely a lot of fun once you get that rolling.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the biggest things is the reinforcements, but the ability for us to do basically drop pods. Like, at least on your screen, it'll look like someone's being dropped in. Either it could be brought in maybe by an Igor or a dropship as well, but also just the ability to, like, oh, you've got 2 Bulldog tanks or Scorpion tanks on standby, go ahead, bring them in. Or maybe you have a Hunchback and you need reinforcements, and all of a sudden it's just like, and because we already have the ability to spawn mechs and or vehicles, and then they act sort of like the AI, but with a little bit more planning. We could have, like, literally, like, maybe you have, Bob who's in the Hunchback, and Bob's ready to go, and you can drop Bob in, and boom, and I think that's going to be really fun. Also, the aspect of their DLC that they're adding, and this is one thing that I'm really excited for, is the infantry support. I mean, that's something that we've like Mechcommander. So they didn't have infantry except for elementals in Mechcommander 1 and Gold as far as the expansion. Mechcommander 2, they had infantry, but I mean, it wasn't something like,
I don't even remember running into them in it.
Oh yeah, they had the machine guns. They'd be like, they'd be shooting at you. You didn't. They were so, unless you had the game on hard, you literally. I mean, they were like one-shot kills, or you'd run them over, so it wasn't even a thing. So,
right, and I'm sure they're not going to be too crazy in this, but if you can get 60 or 70 or whatever they said,
platoons were, yeah.
And we'll have to figure out a UI for that and add some stuff in. So it'll be interesting.
But also, too, like, the thought process, and for a lot of people out there, if you're thinking, we're going to be thinking outside the box of not just what's been done before, because I think that's fine, but from a gameplay perspective, what about a 2020 Mechcommander? What does that mean? What does it mean to have the ability in an RTS? Of course, you have stuff like sensors and gate controls, which, by the way, is already in Mech 5.
I don't know if gate controls was in, but the turret generators are in, and they
the sensor but getting those things.
There is a sensor tower.
Yeah.
I don't think it does anything in the game, but there's a sensor tower,
and there's power generators. But the
power generators actually do disable turrets if you find them. So
they're so tiny. Yeah, they're so tiny,
and you can't target them. Yeah. So you don't know they're there.
But they will be one of these days. Soon.
Eventually, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll add that to the list.
But, and that's something me and you have talked about, which is, what does this game mean in the meta systems? And that's where I think the fun will really start. And the cool thing is, you guys out there that are going to be playing, we're going to be listening. We're going to be watching. I mean, I'm excited to see, it's sort of weird, like, people playing it and streaming it. And, it's going to be, obviously we're being very upfront of what it is right now. So expectations, you keep them like, oh my God, from freaking out. But I know so many people have wanted a Mechcommander, myself included. And I love Battletech the game. I've always just wanted, like, what if we had that in a real, like, what if we had that aesthetic and the new sort of, and that's basically what we've done. And another thing too, I guess is, and we'll I'm sure you'll see this in the videos, is we have some information, like when damage is hitting mechs, it now sort of tells you if
floating
it's
combat text.
floating combat text. Like, can we talk about that? Like, when you first did, can you just talk about like the sort of evolution?
Sure.
Like,
So I was like, okay, floating combat text, that could be kind of interesting. Let's try it. And so I tied in all the events and made a very simple system to just show the damage numbers. But the damage numbers aren't like 5 damage from this, 3 damage from that. It's, oh, your laser got hit and it's 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, whatever across the mech. So it's really hard to just sort it out unless you want to do a bunch of work. And I was like, well, I don't really need to know how much damage I got dealt because I don't know how much armor that mech has off the top of my head. But it would be good to know if like its arm got crit damage or if its arm got blown off. Like, yeah. I'll take that.
Yeah.
And so I added that. So now there's little yellow pop-up whenever you do crit damage, and then if you destroy something, it's red text.
Yeah.
So, if you see head with, red text, you just headshot at a poor little mech.
Yeah. And it's not, the one thing I like about it, it's not obtrusive. It doesn't seem out of place. It actually feels like, oh, yeah, I can see that. And the cool thing with that is that system can be expanded as whether it's like engine crit or gyro destroyed or whatever the system is, like it could be expanded to that. And I feel like the same sort of feedback you get from the pilots shaken up in battle BTA or an HBS BattleTech, we could do something like that as well, to where it's like
and it's a lot similar to the way BattleTech works, except right now it's just looking at the actual components. It's not looking at weapons or equipment.
Yep.
So that's something I'd have to add.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a system that just you feed it text and it spits it up. So that's not too hard to.
I like it, me personally. I mean,
it feels good. Like I said, anytime you see head pop up in that list, you're like, yeah.
Yeah. So jump jets, we have them working.
Kinda. Yeah,
kinda.
Most of the time.
Your mech has to have jump jets for it to work.
Right.
So there is that. But that's something that I think that we don't quite have a gameplay like lockdown, the meta and stuff, like how that's, because the old mech commanders, they could only jump X amount of distance, right? And it wasn't about verticality. Like, like it was just
you need to get over a wall or up a cliff to hit an objective or take a
And there was parts that you just couldn't jump. So it'd be like, yeah, no, you can't jump on that slope, right? So I feel like, and especially with the walls, like most mechs, you can just walk through the walls, right? So then it's
so there's different types of walls in Mech 5, and the heavier duty ones you can only go through with like an assault or a heavy, I think.
Yeah.
So when you're running light mechs, it is kind of nice to jump, but there's a few bugs with the system we have to do that. So sometimes they don't necessarily jump over the wall; they walk around, then start jumping. But it's interesting. The one thing I have noticed though is, so in Mech 5, the more you're moving, the faster you're moving relative to the person shooting, you have less chance of getting hit.
Yeah.
Right? So when you've got a light mech, if you order them to jump, they'll still shoot from the jump jet. So they can jump over and shoot, and they'll hopefully not get hit as bad. So been trying to play with that a little bit in my playthrough just to test and see if there's, more use out
to
of
it
than just jump from A to B.
But and I look at it, I think that's fine. I think where maybe it might be really nice too is depending on how quick it can be done. Maybe you have a mech that you've got one mech engaging something and you can jump the other one behind. Then that way it's for a flank, or maybe you do know there's a wall there, and so you can just jump over it, and now they have to maneuver all the way around to engage or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of strategy there. Even right now, I think you can implement. But that's definitely something that we're going to refine as it goes along.
And that was actually the most AI development I had to do was building that jump jet tree to figure out, okay, where do I need to go to jump to that point? Where do I start?
Yeah. I've actually wondered if that's what we're going to see in some of the DLC as well, because it has a lot of like, quality of life stuff, and they hardly ever jump at all. Like,
Yeah, and
in the base game.
there
So
is an AI mod out there. I don't know if you guys have checked it out, but he has it so the enemies actually do jump around, and
yeah,
it changes the game.
it becomes annoying. Like you're the spiders and shit. Like you're just like, dude, just let me kill you. All right, you're prolonging the inevitable. But also like
Back to being a potato.
right, yeah, exactly. So I mean, let's see. And really, like I said, nothing else has changed outside of that. Like when you're back in the mech bay, it's all the same. You can use reloaded. As of right now, and we'll let everybody know as development goes with the project, where there might be conflicts. And, when we're talking about the meta systems, when we start potentially altering those, if you're using another mod, there may be some conflict or whatever, but that's just the reality that we live in. Sometimes there's not an ability to be where they work both, right? So
Yeah, and that's kind of where we were wanting to work with phase one, was just to have, here's a game that works within this, and it's mostly compatible.
Yeah.
Play whatever you want.
Yeah.
And phase two is going to break a bunch of compatibility. That's fine. But I mean, even the mod developers are working on it. There's a compatibility pack out there, so maybe I can link some of that in too to save a little bit of hassle for people. But
yeah,
yeah, it'll probably break stuff. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's going to eventually be its own game that you hopefully won't need that many mods for. Maybe.
Gotcha. And of course, we talked about distribution. It's going to be on Nexus. It may be on Epic. It may be on Steam, but right now it's going to be on Nexus. We've got a few different ways when you guys run into stuff we want to be aware of. If you run into a bug, or if you're like, hey, is this a bug or a feature? We're going to have a few places you can report that, and that's going to be, we've got a Mechcommander Mercs Reddit that we're going to be going live with, so you can post over there. You can also post it on the Discord, the NGNG Discord. Instead of making completely other Discord, I'm just going to use what I have already there.
We're both there all the time anyway, so
there's no need for that. Because it'd just be another Discord, and I'm like, I already have everybody.
Those lists has reached the bottom of the page.
Dude,
done.
It's so many. And so you're gonna have those avenues. Obviously, I'll pay attention to YouTube and comments there. We'll pay attention if anybody posting something on Nexus as well. But like just for like day-to-day discussion or anything like that, that's where you'll be able to go and report anything. But I haven't had anything crazy happen. Like I said, it played. I mean, if you're aware of like Mason, and if you want to, get out of the map and get to the, extraction point, send your other guys, that type of thing. Or, if you got to get to demolition, he'll still demo buildings and stuff like that. Just, so
he's not as proficient.
Yeah,
I did find that changing his weapon groups actually helped him some of the time. So I don't know what that has to do with some internal logic for him.
You may not want to put him in your best like Atlas. All right, I'm just tossing that out there. I mean, he'll tank.
Yeah, I put him in the hero spider with the AMS and just had him running circles around people.
Yeah,
to distract.
There you go. All right, so DLC. We again don't know a date, so we don't know. We're assuming this probably won't impact us very much as far as like development or any type of compatibility issues, but we won't know until it's out, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple spots where I think if they do some quality of life updates, I may have to do some tweaks, but for the most part, we only override the bare minimum to make our mod work for the most part. So as long as they don't touch those couple files too bad, we're fine. Because the rest will just add in, a layer on top. But yeah, we'll see when that comes here. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of cleanup work, but there's also going to be some new features that we're going to be able to play with. Like, I mean, they're adding, the artillery strike mechanics. I'm sure I can find some use for.
Yeah.
And I know there was talk of in the free patch doing some stuff with sensor range and some other, things like that are going to make it in. And there'll probably be an editor update too that'll add some features for us. So
yeah. Well, obviously, yeah. We would they would need to, because we need access to what they're So obviously,
well, and we're hoping they're going to. I know I've been bugging them about adding a couple things for us, and other modders have been giving them bugs and some things we want to get added, to get access to. So hopefully that'll come in another editor update with the free LC and the DLC.
Yeah.
So we can, get a few more tools to play with.
And I'm actually going to, and I guess this is a good time to announce it, I'm actually going to be sitting down with Chris Lowry. And Chris is pretty much the go-to de facto for what's going on with the DLC behind the scenes. So I did reach out. It's already been improved. He's just making sure what he can talk about. And obviously what's already been shown, we should be able to get that footage from the previous thing so you guys can see the game mode in action and talk about what's going on. Because to me, what that opens up to is new units being made, the ability to have maybe artillery that you can call in, not only like, hey, shoot here, but also maybe it's a mobile artillery piece as well that maybe you can destroy or bring along.
Already in Mech 5, by the way.
Right? So, yeah, so there's that. So, and then a new biome as well. I mean, you won't be able to hear the infantry screaming in space, so that'll be cool.
They'll be on comms just for you.
Yeah, it comes. The sound is another thing. That's something I remember the first time I played, you could hardly hear any of the sounds, and that was because where the actor is, where the sound was, basically like a microphone, was near the action where the mechs are, and you were like above ground, and so like you couldn't hear anything. So we fixed
the sound usually comes from the camera. So when you zoom that camera way up here, you're like sitting, a few hundred meters up there. You just can't hear anything. So I did fix that a little bit. So now it comes from the ground, where the camera's looking. So pretty well.
Let's also talk about that sound and the visuals. That's actually something that we will be, whether we bring someone out in the community that's already doing it, because there's a lot of guys that are already messing with the sound that have created some really nice ones. So I don't know if we'll be working with them in particular or using what they've already created, or working specifically with someone, bringing them on the team to where we can get effects for weapons and the mechs, because that's one thing you'll notice is that from that angle, you want almost over the top stuff. So it's visible to you, like the Gauss rifle,
Yeah, some of the effects mods that are already out there, I mean, they work with the mod right now. So you can play, I know I was playing with, was it Hellfire and Brimstone, which adds so much smoke. so much. Fires everywhere. But, it does change the way the game feels, because now you've got all this stuff going on visually. And then I know that I've been talking to some of the sound modders too, and they've been showing some stuff they're working on. I'm like, I don't even know what I would do with that much sound at this point. But it's going to be interesting once some of that gets rolling out. So, Mork, finish your mod so I can try it.
Yeah, we're definitely paying attention, because we want, and then that even goes for like mechs as well. Like there are modders working on bringing in new mechs, and so animations, like, of course I'm a big stickler when it comes to it, but from the top down perspective, again, you don't care as much, like, and I say that just from like, I can be critical of the King Crab's animation, but when it's in a top down mech commander, it doesn't matter as much.
Except the Night Star. The Night Star, I will call you out on that one.
Yeah, is that
especially if it's looking off to the side and doing
do the sideways, the thing. And so that's another thing is, as we move forward and as people are introducing mechs, like, I'm sure we'll reach out to them and introduce those to the mod too, if that's something once we get to the point.
And stuff like that hopefully will end up just being compatible too, so we don't have to,
if everybody the
community is trying to work on getting more of that to be compatible. So
So let's see. Of course, the DLC. We still don't really know what it is, but of course, we'll let you guys know. I guess phase 2, what we're looking at doing. I have no idea when that would be. We're just letting you guys know, like, hey, this is phase 1. We're going live August 1st. I'm going to be streaming this all week, and that is from July 27th through July 31st. I'm going to be streaming it over on our Twitch channel. So if you'd like to watch more footage and what this actually looks like for you as a player, head on over to the Twitch channel, link down below. It's gonna be, I don't know, it's weird because it's like we set a deadline, right? Because I was like, hey, we need to, I know the game's not like, it's not finished,
it's definitely not polished, right?
But at
least it's playable, and that was kind of the thing we had talked about. Is like, I just wanted to play the game. For now.
What's priority list? What's priority list to get this to work? And then it was like, okay, do we really need this? And do we really need that? And I'd really like to, and it was like, okay, what do we absolutely just need to where, Mason, or AI doing the objectives. That was like, we had to have that, right? So
Right.
we needed something to be able to trigger either the objective and or being able to trigger the extraction from the missions as well. So yeah, and the cool thing with this though is it also allows us, I would say, a wide range of freedom, because like we don't have a big enough team to like do a huge campaign. So that's not within our scope at all. So we're not even going to entertain that thought until we get the gameplay and the core game of what we want done first. And I assume other people are going to do that kind of stuff too. I'd hope.
Right.
So.
And I think that's kind of the way we broke down our phases to begin with, is like, okay, what do we think we can just get in and start working with right away? And then what's going to take a little bit more, thinking and planning and a little bit more experience to get done. And so you see that we've got this gameplay going. Then phase 2 is going to be systems I've already kind of interacted with. So it's easier for me to try to figure out, how do I get these in?
Yeah.
And then phase 3 is like, well, I need to learn how to do campaigns and quests and all that kind of stuff, so that we can start getting a group,
and
on it.
And I think some of the big things from like our perspective as well is like, campaigns are cool, and I agree. I think that'd be awesome, but they're introducing quest systems. I think are going to be easily manipulated, and I'm really intrigued of what they're doing, because you can basically have mini campaigns just with the quest system. But what does it mean when you get an assassination, those type of contracts? Like, you're going to do a war zone or a demo. I feel like there's a lot there to that meta game of what that means, and that's where I'm intrigued about, is like making unique situations kick off there.
Right. Well,
so it doesn't feel repetitive.
I want to look at a new mission type or two.
Ooh, do tell the class.
Well, so there's a few things where, like, you're playing a real-time strategy game. You want modes that show that gameplay off a little bit more than just go to this objective, go to that objective, because it's fun, but it's not really showing all that can be. And so the one mode I'm thinking is a little bit more, I guess it's a little bit more like League of Legends than I wanted to let on. But where you have a war zone, you have some kind of demilitarized zone in the middle. You've got the enemy base, you've got your base, you've got units that are going out to attack, and you're trying to push that border closer to the enemy and take their base. So something like that, I think, would be, you have a lot more units, you have respawning friendlies and enemies, you have an ongoing conflict, so you can feel like you're part of a bigger battle and have something to do.
Yeah.
And have stuff that shows off that kind of RTS view.
Yeah.
And what it can really, do.
And to get
a couple of thoughts, I'm sure, down the road to figure out.
And that's what's powerful too, is like, even on a defense mission, there's nothing stopping us from being able, maybe because you have the resource points, however we're going to do it, to where, especially it's really annoying on the defense missions, where something will happen on the other side of the town, or whatever you're guarding. There's nothing putting out a loop where we can't drop turrets there, and then you drop some walls or something. Or, I mean, those are the type of things that we're going to be looking at. What about smoke? What about, can smoke impact their to hit ratios and all that stuff behind? Because really it's just it's math at that point behind the scenes, right? So
it's just math and a lot of blueprints.
and a lot of frustration. And okay, so let's talk about that too. Unreal, like, I feel like that's probably the biggest hurdle to a lot of people out there wanting to get into modding, which is you have to learn Unreal. How many hours do you have in Unreal so far?
In Unreal as a total, or just in Mechwarrior 5? Because they are different totals.
Yes.
So before the game was out, I probably had a few hundred hours ballpark, working on different stuff and trying to learn, and watch a lot of tutorial videos. As of right now, though, in just the Mechwarrior 5 editor, like 250, or no, that's not right. 400 and it's 20 days, whatever. 480, 490, something like that.
So, and you and a lot of people ask you questions and I guess that's been one of the big hurdles too, is like, knowing from the mod community, and it's something you've talked about, possibly, some type of like organizational aspect of like, why try to reinvent the wheel when the answers probably are out there, or like the same ask questions you like, oh, I want to do this with sound, where do I start? And it's like all this information's already there. It's just no one has put this in a area to where it's retrievable and it's digestible.
Yeah, we definitely haven't, as a community, really come together and put all of our stuff just into a wiki or anything. So there's a lot of, how'd you do this? Oh, it's that. Okay, sure. And then go look it up.
So I'm going to look at doing possibly something like that. I mean, whether it's, I just need to host it with, the NGNG website or whatever, but I feel like that's a big thing for people. Cause I feel like, you may have someone that's really talented at sound or animation or whatever. They're having a, like, it may literally, I wouldn't say be impossible, but it's a hurdle for them to have to learn instead of just like.
And even people that are coming into it with a lot of knowledge, like I'm a programmer. So when I look at the blueprint system in Unreal Engine, it's basically visual programming, right? You just have these little nodes and you draw some lines between them and stuff works. But I'm looking at it as a programmer, and a lot of the people that are trying to set stuff up don't have that background. So they're like, how do I do this? I'm like, well, it's just this thing that I do all the time at work, but it's in this. And how do I teach you computer science today to get you from A to B? But it's a lot to take in if you're never, exposed to it. So, we've been lucky that I at least know enough C++.
Very lucky. Stuff. It's very awesome. Yeah, it's very awesome that our paths cross, because like that was one thing that, and I'm always still afraid of too, is like, relying on, team members, that's just what you have to do. But like, what happens if someone just disappears, or they just get bored or whatever? And, like having a repo and stuff like that is very important.
Yes.
So just in case, but also like
back into their mods.
Yeah. Just do it. Multiple.
All the things.
Things. Yeah. So yeah, man, this is coming. Like I said, it's exciting. I'm sure it's exciting for you too, Ed, because you're the man behind the the curtain, if you will. I'm just the guy who says like, hey, what about this? And you're like, dang, okay.
Yes. The person that keeps telling me to do more stuff and making more work for me. Yeah.
But when are we going to be able to get it out? When's like we've had a pretty cool, I think, relationship as far as the team too, like having like, hey, it's not just what I want. What do you think? And then like having to like sometimes take a step back and be like, okay, yeah, like let's try that out.
Yeah, I know you and I both have had stuff where we're like, that's a cool idea and I like it, but let's just make Mechcommander first and then see if we can have that later.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, there's a few of those still up here.
Testing. Yeah. We have some play testing that but the first goal was, hey, even if we were to do that, we still need RTS to function, because you still need your lance mates to be able to initiate the objectives, and you still need the UI there to where you can see them. You still need that functionality
before you start doing some of the other crazy ideas that you and I have had back and forth.
And I think you're going to see a pretty drastic change in what they're. I would venture, like, we don't have anything solidified in stone, but I would venture to say their meta systems that they have, as far as the, like I said, skill and mech lab and all that, like our project will be a lot different than what their vision is. But their vision is a Mechwarrior game. Ours is a Mechcommander RTS. And RTS are not really a big thing. And I feel like this is an opportunity for us to really use our imagination and take things from the different gaming spheres that are out there and be able to bring new ideas. Like, and I'm not saying battle royale, guys, but I'm just saying it would be pretty cool. No. Everyone
starts
what?
out in urban mech, and then you got to upgrade to what it is.
But even like the idea, the game mode, a big thing that we've talked about, that we don't have any answers and or a clue yet, but it's just something that's definitely on our mind, is the co-op. And right now, though, I guess we should also be clear what isn't available to someone when they boot up, because we have some stuff.
So right now, instant action and co-op are disabled when you have the mod turned on. And of course, the intro campaign missions don't quite work right. But so instant action, there's a slightly different thing I have to work on that basically means I have to port all the stuff I've already done over into another asset and do some work, and it's going to take a bit of time to just sort out. And then co-op, it's a little bit more complicated because obviously, the player is now playing an RTS, and some of the stuff doesn't quite sync up the way it normally would whenever someone joins. So,
Yeah.
We actually tried it out. It just didn't work, right, Phil?
Yeah,
That was
it just didn't. It was. I was in the match. You weren't though.
Yeah, and
No,
the
no,
mech
you
was
were.
supposed to be controlling and stopped. Stopped working.
Yeah, you were running straight, and then just it was. But we have some stuff we're going to be testing, and there's people already doing some cool testing that you know about as far as PvP too.
Yeah.
So
guys
that's.
are working on some cool stuff. I'm not sure how much they want to talk about it. So
Oh yeah, you don't know names, but like.
But
yeah.
No, people are working on getting some PvP type stuff going. It's going to take a while because it's complicated.
Yeah.
And then we'll hopefully have co-op soon enough. I just got to figure out a lot of what's going on.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to debug since you have to start connecting to another computer.
Yeah.
And
but the cool
stuff. So.
But the cool thing is, and this is what we're hopeful too, is depending on the reaction from you guys out there. I mean, if it's as big as could potentially be, that's another cool thing to where, it'd be like, hey, there's a lot of people that want this, and so, maybe that'll be like, hey, Alex, we need more. We need access to Mason. We need access to like the what's going on with the networking because like we have these.
No,
yeah, but we do. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff that I think, and for me, the single player stuff is great, and I think you can make that whole system is going to be in. But playing with your friends as well in like scenarios where like you do have like maybe you do have a horde mode, like how long can you last? Or maybe you set up scenarios where you can do missions and you can connect. And everybody was sort of wondering is like, what happens if you can create a scenario where you're starting out with like equipment and everybody has their own equipment when they connect to you. And how does that work? Obviously, you'd have to have some type of way to track that and blah, blah, blah. There's just so many things that a lot of people are going to experiment on.
Well, and there are things that I'm pretty sure PGI looked into and was like, that's way more design and programming work than we necessarily wanted to touch. So I know people are looking at it and trying to get, like co-op buddies to bring their own stuff and get rewards. It's just,
but they may support it because they may not have to do the work, but they could say, okay, yeah, you want that access. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, some of it may be open, but it's just trying to figure out how to do it as a modder is a little bit daunting. Yeah. Anytime you start adding network code in, it's a whole bag of worms.
Yeah. So, and I think
co-op will be easy, but we'll see.
Well, the co-op thing is interesting too because we still have one significant test. I would say we have some play testing to do with one idea that me and you had both sort of came to the same conclusion. Hey, we should probably do that. So, but we needed RTS done, and if that takes off, then again, things are going to be interesting. But yeah, man, Mech Commander, and in this case, Mechcommander Mercenaries, where you're playing as a mercenary commander, just like Mech 5, and I felt like that was appropriate for a name. And then as we progress, a lot of the changes that we're talking about, and some of them will have to be in the scope of, hey, there's only a handful of us. We might pick up a few more individuals that have the desire and talent. Like we don't have time to teach someone, but like if that's the case, we may bring on a few more people to help speed things up. And then we're paying attention to other modders because if they're doing it, I feel like it's like, and Russ said this on a pod, he's like, why reinvent the wheel? Like if someone else is doing it, like why? And I get where he's coming from too. So from our standpoint,
and that's why I think a lot of us modders have fallen into this. Like this is my lane. This is what I'm going to focus on. Oh, that's cool. You're doing that. I'm just going to figure this part out, and then we start kind of cross pollinating and sharing as people move in and need stuff. So it's been kind of this natural progression too, where you're just like, well, I'll see what they do, and if I need to implement my own, I'll do it.
Yeah, or just reach out and be like, hey, man, can we get the source for that? And then boom.
Yeah, I've had several people offer like, hey, do you need this? I'm like, well, we'll see where I get, and then if I need to look at it, I'll take a peek.
Yeah, but we're very much aware of the compatibility stuff going on, and like that's why Tori here was pushing for like, hey, I just want it to be able, like, it should work with pretty much everything because we're not messing with the files that most people are messing with. Like, we're doing something a little bit
Right,
different.
and the ones where there are conflicts, I just have it set up so ours overrides it. And I've tried to make sure that it's at least reasonable which ones we're doing that with.
Yeah.
So
So like heat vision works with from Reloaded. The night vision works. Yeah. So it's it's coming, guys. August 1st on Nexus. Again, we'll have that link down below in the video. There is a Reddit. And Discord will be the NGNG Discord, and I'll be streaming this live starting tomorrow. So if you're listening to this, I'm going to get this podcast up and rendered. It should be live before. Actually, okay. Let me redact this statement. The Nexus page won't be live until August 1st, but the Reddit and the Discord, of course, is already going to be available by the time you watch this. So. Yeah, so I hope you guys are excited. If someone is out there, I will say this: if you are a solid animator, it would be great to recreate the original sort of Mech Commander maybe trailer, albeit a little bit different because we don't have. Well, actually, technically, we could get a Mad Cat. I mean, we have the.
Oh God, he's giving himself ideas, folks.
We have the. We could recreate if we have. I mean, I'm just saying we have the. And I've got some CVCs. It'd be like, don't think, Mechwarrior, find out. Oh man, I'm onto something. We can make it work. I've got a green screen, right?
I mean, if you put the Mad Cat in, people will love us anyway. So
I think that's gonna happen.
If it's in the game,
I think it's gonna happen before PGI does it.
Maybe. I mean, there are definitely people working on getting mechs in, so I don't know if anyone's actually doing the Mad Cat right now or not. I think some people are just trying to do mechs that PGI doesn't already have assets for, so that way they don't get.
They're not reinventing the wheel. I mean, you
don't want to invent the wheel that PGI is already working on.
Yeah, but I mean, you could have it now instead of later.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true. And Timberwolf meow, right? So, all right, man, I'm excited. I know you're excited. A lot of work you've put into this, a lot of hours, and we're gonna be launching again August 1st, 2020. And I'll be streaming this all week. So hopefully you guys, if you'd like to watch this, it's going to be a surprise because I haven't told anybody. I haven't made an announcement on Discord.
I was like, is Phil going to announce something?
No, I'm going to surprise the shit out. Actually, I'll probably do an announcement tonight because that way people are like, oh, what? Be like, yeah. So we're going to be doing that. It's
weird watching it on stream.
Right? And be like, hold on, this feels okay. So, but yeah, man, I guess, is there any last words, anything that we're missing, or anything you just want to say to someone out there?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, it's been a lot of work so far. I'm sure it's going to be even more as we get going, but I'm looking forward to having people play it and getting a chance to work on some other stuff that I want to do on it. But no, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. So thanks for having me on to chat about it.
Oh man, not a problem. We're gonna obviously he's gonna be back on. We're gonna be probably talking about after a week of the game being out, maybe 2 weeks being out, like, hey, what's the reaction so far? Let's talk, maybe a little bit more plans about phase 2, stuff like that. And of course, letting you guys know what's going on. So Mechcommander Mercenaries coming to a Mechwarrior 5 near you. So maybe you don't have Mech 5, and if you decide to get it,
it's on sale right now.
It's on sale. Hey, and I've got a creator code. I'm just saying, you can use Tiny Terrier, and I get kickbacks. So there's that. Just saying. Speaking of support, though, this podcast is brought to you by viewers and listeners like you out there. And if you like what I do here with the stream, or on YouTube or SoundCloud, consider becoming a patron. I've got different tiers for different folks. If you're able to, check it out. No pressure if you can't. Maybe you like watching on Twitch and you have the ability to become a sub. Check out that as well. And of course, I do have a store with merch. So head over to NoGutsNoGalaxyStore.com. New stuff coming, actually. By the time this mod releases, we might have some new stuff. And no one's seen it, and I'm really excited. So there's that. But Tori, it's been a pleasure. I'm sure I'll talk to you tomorrow and later on
Yeah,
and all the things. But guys, this has been your local No Guts, No Galaxy Mechwarrior podcast. Signing off for tonight. I'm Phil. Until next time, Mechwarriors. Peace. Yeah, that was a good attempt. It was better than Darren most of the time. Just, like, sorry, old man. I'm going to have you on the podcast soon. He's soon. Actually, spoiler alert. Mama Bear will be on the podcast soon.
Ooh, the beard.
That is all. Good night. Sweet dreams.